Okay. Alright, so let's welcome our panelists this evening. Once again, we would like to call Mr. Luis Buenaventura. Next, we have Mr. Christopher Starr. And finally, we have Blink once again from Beachers Labs. Mr. Henry. Okay. So, okay. So once again, if you have still further questions about crypto, Web3, and blockchain, feel free to ask our panelists for this evening. But before that, we would like to ask Mr. Christopher Starr tell me about what you do now and what are we looking forward for you.
Hello. Hi guys. GM to everyone. Again, my name is Christopher Starr. A little bit about me. Let's see. I organize founders meetup. But I don't waste your time, so you definitely should go to my events. I organize a lot of events on the side, so like Serial Entrepreneurs, Serial Entrepreneurs Junior. I co-founded together with a couple of other friends, Web3PH, which is a community which you guys are all welcome to join. We do other events like Web3PH Summit. We have an upcoming party on November. Yes, nag-plug agad. Chill agad dapat. November 17. Yeah. Aside from that, I do work full-time marketing and community for a Web3 sustainability project based out of Hong Kong called Green Collective. I work also for the government through Kubo, so I'm a marketing mentor. I've been in digital for about 20 years, so I know I kind of look young. But yeah, I've been in the space for quite some time. For crypto, on the other hand, since again, I've been in this space for a very long time. I think my first exposure was around 2017. That time, all the conferences were mostly Chinese, and I would be there. I'm like, what are they talking about? I don't understand. But everyone's like on the ICO days, ganyan. Back then, I would be organizing mga after parties for these conferences, attending meetups where Luis would be speaking. I think back then, hindi pa kami nag-meet, but I was already attending those kind of events. So. Right now, I also co-founded Attend, which is kind of a Web3 community launchpad-ish, which means that really is we work with clients from usually local and overseas, and we help them launch into the market through the power of community, whether that means inviting you guys to attend these events, or we look for these partners, like students or whatnot. So that's just maybe half of what I do. Kasi kung yung iba pa na hindi relevant, it would be too long. So, there.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Christopher Starr. Okay, now we will now open the floor for your questions to our panelists. So, sabi dito, at least two panelists must answer the question. Sabi nila.
Ay, rules pala. Hindi tayo.
Do we accept online, Online. Okay, so for those who wanted to ask online, feel free to post your comments at the live stream. Okay? So ayan. So the one who asked the question previously will ask the next one. Will ask the next question. Okay, so ayun. So is there anyone who wanted to ask? Okay, you want to ask a question? Ayan, we have our photographer.
Yan, isang magandang gabi po sa ating lahat. Ako po si Verlin Santos from PP Poetry and Crypto Art TV. Yung sa huli ko na sabihin yung tanong, pero gusto ko lang po magpasalamat kay Sir Henry Banayad kasi very supportive siya sa mga licensed artists. So minsan, kami dito joke, pero kami tinulungan ng mga lumad na turuan mag-crypto, mag-NFT, mag-sell ng art nila as NFT. Tapos, yun, na-award namin sila, namin sila sa Bukidnon, mga lumad sa Bukidnon. Dinala namin yung knowledge doon about sa technology na to. Tapos, nakapag-adapt sila. Ngayon, sinishare na nila dun sa community nila, sa mga tribal groups na nandoon, kung anong meron sa nangyayari. Tapos, isa po si Sir Henry sa very supportive sa pag-collect ng mga artworks ng mga artists na nila. Kasi hindi nga lang, mga tribes, lumad tribe, tapos nakakapag-adapt dahil may mga taong masugid na sumusuporta, bullman o bear market. Kaya palapakan mo na siya. Ayun, salamat po sa inyong lahat. Pero ang tanong ko lang po ay, siyempre, kayo yung mga forerunners dito sa crypto, sa Web3, sa NFT. Ang tanong ko lang po ay, hanggang kailan po niyo ito gagawin?
I think this question is going to be for 3 panelists. Actually, hindi ko alam. Sabi sa akin, ng isa sa mga nag-i-sponsoring sa akin, is that I'm being stupid buying NFTs during bear market. And then again, I said to myself, it's just a collection. It's nothing, and the art is really very good. Especially those that came from Bukidnon. I started with Manila people, but then bigla ako nandun napunta sa Mindanao, collecting artworks there. It's really nice. It's really something worth collecting. It's something that I can place on my walls at the house, kind of projector lang. Okay na, sa akin yun. It makes me happy. Actually, yun lang naman yung reason na eh. But it just makes me happy.
Chris? Nagtalo ko ba yan? Really good question. Honestly, when Luis was sharing about this, with like the Google Meet, umiyak and everything, sabi ko, hindi naman ako tumawag today. And then, pero I honestly have felt that very, very recently. When you feel like, okay, you've been doing so much, and just for your knowledge, so we're supposed to do CryptoPH Summit again this year. We did it last year. We had about 700 people. We got a lot of support. Thanks for the likes of like Luis supporting us, not just attending, it also sponsored the event, a couple of other people. And then fast forward to today, we were planning Summit this year. But unfortunately, it's not the right time. We felt that it's not the right time and we just didn't have enough time. And we were all powered by volunteers. But I also didn't want to give up just like that because I know the kind of work that they all put into it. Pero mabot tayo sa point na, ayoko na to. Nakakapagod. But I think I've been in the space for a very long time na. So I remember when I came back to the Philippines from a short stint in Malaysia, it's been my passion to like share what I know and what I learned from a lot of people. Because I truly believe that the reason why I'm here today is because of a lot of people who believed in me and trusted me, especially in the early days. A lot of the jobs I got was because I was recommended, etc. So I feel strongly about giving back to the community. And so building CryptoPH, building the community is not just because I get money from it or all that. Like honestly, with CryptoPH Summit, not even I didn't get anything from that aside from what we paid everyone else na volunteer. So not because I co-founded I get more money. We paid all our volunteers, we paid all our speakers. They didn't, and just so you know, we didn't even ask them, hey, we're gonna pay her anything, but we felt that was the right thing to do. So for me, what's driving it is because I felt like I need to give back to the community and I continue to do that. So that's the reason why I'm a mentor at Kubo Innovation Hub, and I mentor a lot of startups, usually on a monthly basis, maybe 4 to 10 startup founders. And what's driving that is really just the passion coming back from, I am here today because of a lot of people who support me. I'm just, parang paying it forward. So I don't see myself stopping because I've been doing this. I've been volunteering to a lot of these events and going and supporting people. Honestly, I only plan to come here to support. Tapos Michael was like, can you make a panelist tomorrow? Parang, about what? It's parang, honestly, I want to say no, but parang, siya na on the spot. Pero, again, support. So, I've been in that situation before. And yun, I also try to support everyone. So, next year, yung plan namin talaga is we have the money from our events and we're trying to raise more money so that next year we can help more people through the community. So parang giving back to it. So I guess that's the long answer to that. But the short answer is, unfortunately, magsawa kayo sa amin.
I think when you start your own company, usually you want to solve problems that you yourself have, no? Because that's usually what makes you very passionate about it. Ako, in my case, I really don't like the Philippine peso. Like, I realize that's kind of a weird thing to say, but I feel like you're not really rewarded for saving it or holding it. The only thing you are given when you save your pesos is 0.1% interest per annum. Tapos may VAT pa yun. And then there's about 4% inflation year on year. And then every decade, you can look forward to a loss of about 25% against the US dollar. This exchange rate ng USD versus PHP. And that's been going on since the 1960s. Yeah, I think I'll continue working on this until the Philippine peso doesn't suck anymore. Until whenever that is.
Hopefully.
How about the US dollar?
Well, I mean, that also sucks. Parang ano na lang yan eh, parang degrees of which sucks more. That's a big problema eh. The bottom line is that we've never gotten monetary systems right.
Oh, yeah.
And the idea with crypto is we give up on monetary policy that is run by humans and instead trust the math instead. You know? So I'm not saying that that's the correct path, but at least there's an alternative. And for as long as there's an alternative, I think it's worth exploring. And which is why I keep advocating for education and better user onboarding. Because honestly, what is the point of having all of these alternative paths kung hindi naman sila magamit kasi mahirap masyado or magulo masyado or it's too complex, right? So I guess that's kind of it. That's the personal itch that I'm trying to scratch. I want to be able to save up money for the future. Na yung pera na yun actually gains value over time, not the other way around. So that's it.
Thank you. Ayan. So, if we call up on the next one, we'll ask the question, another question. So, please feel free to choose. Ayan. So, the next one we'll ask is Mr. Jope.
Okay, ito. Ano yung pangarap niyo para sa Pilipinas?
Miss Universe.
Para ano yung pumipigil doon? Tinanong ako.
So,
Luis for Senator.
What?
yung team analyst na.
Okay, sa akin yung mic.
So senior ka lang. That's a Miss U question. But this is not endorsing Miss Universe. It's a Miss Universe question. Anong pangarap ko sa Pilipinas? Hopefully, walang corruption and blockchain and solve that. And also, we'll have a better financial or monetary system if we just look clearly or look at cryptocurrency and in its basics. The basic format is already perfect. There's no changing the code. It's just a matter of creating something like deflationary models that would increase the value of the peso rather than it just keeps on dumping and dumping. May pambili ko rin ng core deal. Peso. Okay. Alam si Justin something mo doon. Wow. But still another celestial start.
Pangarap for the Philippines. Na yung pagiging OFW ay option na lang for wow. But it's true, right? Like, obviously, our economy is really supported by all these OFWs, and I know a lot of people, a lot of friends and family members. And for me, equipping people to become their own bosses by becoming entrepreneurs, creators, and it comes in different format. I think is a way to go, because a lot of the businesses in the world will not function without the Filipino manpower. So if we can build businesses for them, I think we can definitely build business here. That's why it's been my passion to share whatever I have. And if you don't need to like be connected to people, I'm always very happy to like connect people to others. Because I feel like opportunities is really very much driven by your network, your experience, and when people allow to flow, to make that flow, parang these opportunities are created and people are, like I'm a perfect example. I just posted this kagabi because I just remember that at my very first TV interview ages ago was just because someone trusted me on the internet na I pitched my story to this TV producer. I don't even remember now the name of that person. And I said, I'm a student founder, I want to be on TV. Would you be willing to feature me? Fast forward to I was interviewed by Daphne Paez, I think her last name is Paez. She's the presidential briefer right now. Yun, marami akong ganung instances na I unfortunately didn't have a lot of connections growing up because my parents are not necessarily, I came from a very middle class family. So a lot of the opportunities I got was just because people trusted me. So right now, as I said, I'm trying to give it back. So my dream talaga for Filipinos, for my friends, for people I know, is that they're able to have these opportunities, not because of who they know or because of how much money they have, just because it's possible na mangyari yun. And I think it goes back to this mga sinabi ni Sir Henry about like corruption and all that. I think those are what's stopping it, because you were asking, ano man sa stop me? These things, like nepotism, all these kind of stuff, corruption, that's what's stopping it.
Good answer.
We're not crypto meetup, so I guess I'll say, the metaverse would be nice para lahat ng tao hindi na work from home, work from metaverse na. It will accomplish two things. One, wala na tayong OFWs, and then two, wala na tayong traffic. So,
Actually, I understand that kasi I also came from a family from North Davao. Hopefully there's a time that the Philippines could having a person who's working abroad is just optional. Ayan. So, Joke, do you want to call another one who will ask a question?
there's a question in the back kanina na, weren't you asking, you had your hand raised nung natapos yung session.
Okay. Feel free to ask your question.
Sorry, naalala ko lang eh. Sorry to put you on the spot.
But okay naman kasi the three of you will will answer your question. Sige, go.
Hello, my name is Lemon. Yeah, like the fruit. Yung question ko is okay na talaga. Before, noong 2021, in the bull run before, there's this called NFT collection. Yung first NFT collection na Filipino yung gagawa, yung founders na Surfshark Society, if you know. Yeah, you know. Yeah. Kung NFT kayo, alam niyo talaga siya. It's in Solano. It's Solano based, and yeah. So, na-hype siya, and Filipinos are, ayun, hindi masyado talaga nagagawa ng due diligence and invest lang ng invest, basta may hype and supported by the influencers. But, ayun, bago siya, nung nag-mint na, ayan, naubos yung myth, biglang nirag pool. So, yeah. Ginagawa. Binalik naman daw. Pero, yun po, even though binalik naman siya, ang tanong ko lang po is, yun nga po, in the NFT space, ano yung sa tingin nyo, ano yung parang way para mabigay nyo yung trust ulit ng mga yung fellow Filipinos na nagagawa ng, ay mga fellow, mga soon to be na NFT founders ng mga collections ng NFTs para sa mga Filipinos, gano'n. Yung siyempre nawala yung trust nila eh. Di ba? So yun na po, sana nag-gets nyo. Sorry.
Okay.
Parang lahat people say about sa Pinoy lahat po, di ba?
Yeah. So sorry. In short, your opinion is basta Filipino rock pool. Yeah. No, I mean that's true, no, and I think I mean no, it's not true. It's definitely true that people say that sometimes. Yeah. Sorry, please don't misquote me. How do you win trust back? That's a difficult question anywhere. Kasi anywhere, no? How do you win the trust of the market back pag ninakaw mo yung pera nila the first time? And I think with the case of Surshare, technically rug pull ba yun? Kasi the way I understand that story was ninakaw ng developer nila, di ba? Yung pera. Si Randy Santiago. Randy Santiago. Man. So, okay, anyway, how do you win trust back? It takes a really, really long time. And typically, in the crypto world, it takes 3 to 4 years. This is literally what the cycles are. So when we talk about the things like yung mga bull and bear market cycles ng crypto, so that's 1 year of bull market, 2 years of bear market, 1 year of sideways. That's generally what the 4-year cycle looks like. The reason why it takes 4 years for the bull market to come back is because you're still winning that trust back. And it's not just the rug pulls, it's also the fact na, bumili ako ng Bitcoin kasi sabi nung influencer na yun, bumili daw ako ng Bitcoin. It was $69,000 at the time and now it's 28, right? So I lost $40,000 in value. So, the market needs time to recover from yung mga ganun na losses. It needs time, so we call this market amnesia. They have to forget first na nangyari yun sa kanila. And I think that we're looking at kind of that same timeline. It might be another couple of years before that trust can be won back. However, I will say that just because you're a rug puller in the crypto world doesn't mean you don't get second chances, because as we've seen, was it the Azuki guys, no? Parang yung isang founder nila was a rug puller, self-confessed, and he founded Azuki. That's like the third largest of the more recent major NFT projects, right? So we have this weird capacity to forgive, I guess. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, generally speaking, the market needs to forgive first. Yeah, that's it.
How to win back the
Win back the trust.
Alright, I might take it a little bit differently using my political science background. I took up political science. In terms of winning back trust, I think transparency and accountability is very critical. So if you think about how to parang deterrence for these bad behaviors, for example. By the way, it doesn't only happen in crypto. I mean, I think that's one of the things that needs to be terrifying. Parang, okay, if naloko ka, relationship na naloko ka, like, gets ba? It happens in different industries as well. But I think in terms of how do you win back trust, yun nga, I think transparency and accountability, and I'll double down on accountability. The most effective deterrence, in my opinion, is really the certainty of the punishment rather than the severity of the punishment. So I think when people are aware, and I've always said this, that I advocate for self-regulation or for the community to actually self-police and say like, hey, this is not acceptable behavior, I think that's a good deterrent so that people will trust again. Because it's when good people are silent that these bad people are able to thrive. And it's not because you agree, it's because they feel like wala namang bakal, they do it again. So for me, the community will trust us again if we come together, and that's also one of the things I think, and why and what case I feel like decentralization is really more about how do we organize ourselves. So that's how I would address the trust issue in this space. Because I came from e-com, my 20 years ago, I came from e-com, and the biggest hurdle then for people to buy online is trust. Na binigay ko yung pera ko na may dadating sa akin, or pag sabi mong blue yung shirt, dadating sa akin yung blue shirt, right? Like, those are the problems. So how to solve that is to have a meet-up. So in Singapore before, the carousel would even have a official meet-up place inside the mall where you can meet the person. Like, that's really how it started. And ngayon, TikTok, kung nagkaroon ng nag-live, biglang nakabili ka na ng 10 items without knowing kung sino nagbibenta, saan siya galing, etc. Diba? Like, nabudol ka na, diba? Like, I think that's gonna be the same thing for crypto one day. Like, we won't even remember those backgrounds. But even till today, may mga nalilok sa Shopee, napapadala sa iPhone, pero laman pa to, ganyan. It still happens. And I think that's what people need to understand. It's never gonna go away. Scam is not something that was invented by the industry of crypto. It's been there since forever. So that's how I see it.
Very good. Very nice answer. Okay, guys. Lennon kind of reminds me of SBF with the hair.
It's not his fault.
At least now, SBF has a haircut. Even Caroline Ellison, which also the same. Since Caroline Ellison did not recognize SBF during while she was being identified, or they tried to identify him among the crowd. So, nice hair. Anyway, as for your question, kasi just like Melissa said last week, the by default, kapag sinabi mo crypto, it's already a scam. Okay? Which also touched me. Kasi when I started with Bitcoin way back in 2009, I started actually with Gcash, which is not a cryptocurrency. Way back in 2005, as I've said a while ago, nag-start ako doon, and then I moved on to e-gold and e-bullion during those times. Ginagamit rin sa mga high-yield investment programs yung digital currency na yan. So, ayun, yun yung first na heartbroken ko na digital currency, because I actually put a lot in there sa e-gold. And then, only to find out later on, way back in 2009, 2010, nag-start na ang Mount Gox. That's the only time that I restarted with cryptocurrency. And they call it virtual currency way back then. Then digital currency, then cryptocurrency na. And there was no words such as investment before. We just participated to build the network. So sa tingin ko, it's just a matter of understanding really what's the underlying principle of that community is all about. Kasi during those times, we were liberalists, mga liberals na we wanted to change the form of payment globally. That's our dream. Kasi yung value ng ginagamit nating mga fiat currencies are always dwindling down, pababa na pababa ang purchasing power, hanggang at the same time na yung candy mo, 100 pesos na. Okay? Yun na yung, kapag 100 pesos ang supli mo sa sari-sari store, bibigyan ka naman ng isang candy. So that's going to be one of the futures na pwede natin na-expect. But with the realization of limited supply financial instruments, it is still possible for us to create a better way. Ngayon, ang tanong kanina is, paano may babalik yung trust? Do not expect too much. Okay? Most of us Filipinos, kapag sinabi mo siya, baka mag 100 times man, magtutudan mo niyan, jump ka ng jump. Kapag sinabi nilang, whenever they say, that this is going to be 1,000 times over. It will become 1,000 times over in just a few weeks. Diyan ka pa rin kahit alam mo na ang scam. It's too good, if it's too good to be true, it is something that you should already avoid. You know? Number one, yan. And of course, one of the things that you should also do is to check out yung Kurakima, yung Times, and yung community na binibig nyo. Because at the end of the day, it's all about community when it comes to cryptocurrencies. Kasi ano ba sila sinusupport mo? Bakit mo sinusupport siya ang crypto niyan? Meron nga nag-susupport ng Pi dito. Meron ba? Pi Network? Okay. So I wouldn't even call it crypto. Really. No offense, man. But we don't call it crypto because it's
not there yet.
It's not there yet. It's not, doesn't have a market, but it has a very large community following. And that's essential. One thing that can be, we can look forward to something like that. Kasi very large yung community nila eh. Just like Bitcoin before we started, konti lang yung mga followers ng Bitcoin, mostly geeks. Like and nag-prosper. Okay? After the 10,000, actually it's not the first transaction, 10,000 Bitcoin pizza. It's not the first transaction, it's just the first transaction recorded by mainstream media. Okay? There are several transactions already going before the Bitcoin pizza. Okay? Yun lang yung talagang tinutukan ng mainstream. So, ayun. So to bring trust back to the community, it's just a matter of being sincere. If you are the founder, if you're creating another one that's going to be another rug pull, it doesn't have to be another rug pull, okay? You have to be sincere, you have to set your goals clear, and make sure that everything you do is within the realms of yung regulations natin. Kasi if you don't consider regulations and you keep on pushing innovation without considering regulation, I think you're going to be in bad shape. You have to consider all the stakeholders involved, whether that's government, that's community, or whether that's something like innovation or regulation.
Thank you. Okay. So, bringing back trust, napakahirap mo. Parang sa relasyon lang, di ba? Oo, kaya alagaan niya. Okay, so Lemon, do you want to choose the one with Sir Sanji? Okay, so Sanji, kindly go here at the front to ask your burning question to our panelists.
Good evening po, first of all. By the way, I'm Sanji. So, here's my question po. Why do you think that the government is trying to regulate blockchain when we all know that blockchain is directly opposing government bodies?
Blockchain.
Why is the government interested in regulating blockchain in the first place?
I don't know that there's regulation regarding blockchain, but it's more on crypto. Yung mga financial side na regulate.
Yeah.
Because they want to enforce sort of like consumer protection mechanisms in a way na hindi masyadong disruptive kapag na-scam ka. Yun yung point ng government naman. So if you are going to be participating in communities that promotes the use or utilizes cryptocurrency, then meron ka choice na lalo na kapag they are complying with regulation. Pero of course, that's an anti-crypto, actually it's an anti-crypto move really. Because when you are promoting crypto, you're anti-fiat. So, sometimes, ang hirap talagang decide kung saan ka lulugar, kung or your position on that common problem na yun. Pero, of course, you have to really look into how to call this, yung mismong regulation, all of that. Comply na lang tayo. Kasi at the end of the day, if we cannot meet them, it's fine. Same way with CBDCs. CBDCs have been around actually in the Philippines since they forced the President and Instapay. That's already the introduction of CBDC in the Philippines, but we're enjoying it. Kasi nakakapag-send tayo na up to 50,000 on a daily basis. I'm enjoying it really because I'm not this. And then no questions asked. Hopefully, it stays that way because a few weeks ago, my bank already started questioning my transactions. Yeah, very So I opened one account for every digital bank that's around the Philippines. Yun na yung aking next move. Chris,
Answered it na.
it takes two panels.
May rule na ako bang tayo makauwi? No, I think my only ano lang, I agree with what Sir Henry mentioned already. I think to just add there, why I personally advocate for self-regulation. When self-regulation, that means like the community regulates itself. Is because there are certain industry that already does that. The perfect example is advertising. So I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with AS. Yung mga may codes and all that you see on billboards ganyan. So, kunyari you violate where the message is distributed. So, I think that kind of model for me is the middle ground where there's still regulation. I believe the regulation is important, but I believe that the government is not the only option for regulation. I think the community, especially with blockchain, guys are familiar with DAOs, like there's an opportunity for us to actually self-regulate and organize ourselves. It is not easy. It's like easier said than done, but I think there's that future because I've already seen in certain industries like advertising, for example. They can do it, so why can't we?
Luis.
I think as the night gets later, mas nagiging wild yung mga sagot ko. So, why do governments feel threatened by cryptocurrencies? I guess that's another way to ask your question. If you think about the role of fiat in any country, it is basically a token for paying taxes, right? Parang the government issues it to its citizens, and then that's basically how they pay it back to the government in the form of various taxes, and that's how the government continues to run. What the proposal kasi with cryptocurrencies is that we can now make our own money that has no central government or authority or anything behind it, and such that we can earn Bitcoin, and there's no direct way for them to tax it unless they start regulating. And they will do that through yung mga virtual currency exchanges natin, or through some other slightly less direct way, no? But through VAT pa rin, you can actually still tax cryptocurrency trading through VAT. So I think that because they want to keep tabs on all of the various ways that the average person holds their wealth, that they have to regulate this new form of wealth. That's kind of it. It's like bottom line there. They need to keep tabs on you because otherwise, like, what if Christopher Starr's salary is all Bitcoin? So I guess that means he doesn't report it to the BIR. I mean, wala naman taga BIR dito, hopefully. But, so there is a problem there because that means that you've got these citizens that are potentially accumulating a lot of wealth, pero hindi mo sila matax. And unfortunately, tax is the way that governments can continue to run. There's 500,000 government employees in the Philippines. Their salaries have to come from somewhere, right? So anyway, that's kind of the bottom line version of it. By the way, these are very, very anarchic answers that I'm sharing right now. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not talking about Philippine government specifically. All governments.
Yun. So, na-clarify lang, no? Kasi di ba blockchain is a type of technology, no? Pero the technology itself is not actually regulated.
Right, that's right. Yeah, you're right. I think Henry also mentioned that earlier. Blockchain itself is unregulated because that's kind of like regulating the internet. We don't regulate the internet. What we regulate are the services on top of it. advertising, the way we share music, intellectual property, stuff like that. Yun yung mga nire-regulate natin. But blockchain technology itself is unregulated. It's cryptocurrencies and the exchange thereof that are usually regulated.
So for example, a cryptocurrency is converted into peso. That's where the government comes in.
Or any fiat.
Yeah. Yun. So, ganon.
Actually, that's the, parang yun naman ang role ng government na they want to regulate, ideally to protect the citizen.
Sorry, I guess hindi fair yung answer because I wasn't talking about the good things that the government does. Yes, you're right. I mean, in theory, they're there to protect us, infrastructure, all of those things. Sorry. I wasn't.
Di naka-record.
Okay, thank you so much, Sanji. I hope that our panelists answered your question. So, do you know someone who is also interested to ask another question? Sige. So, please come forward. Kindly state your name and the question.
Hi po, ako po si Brian. Since we said about this into education about NFT, Web3 or blockchain, just want to ask about how do you plan to support content creators that create contents about crypto, blockchain technology, and how do you battle misinformation or fake news?
I'll start and then I'll just. Okay. The second part was how do you battle misinformation and fake news? Call it out. Call it out. The problem is that it's really easy to be a content creator in crypto if you don't care kung totoo yung sinasabi mo. Kung tama yung pinopromote mo. Or actually, I mean, I guess you could argue, is it even correct for crypto influencers to be promoting tokens, coins, whatever, no? Because these are actual investments. Do they have the qualifications to talk about this stuff? I'm not sure if they do a lot of the time. And many of them, they're just paid to promote these things. So, my new, the way that I think about these things is if I see content creators who say stupid shit or something that's not true or something that is a rug pull, promote a Ponzi scheme, whatever, I call it out. And I try to be as visible as possible about it. I mean, I'm still polite generally. Like I'm not rude about it. But I think that, if you're a content creator, you are accepting a certain amount of public visibility. And so that means that you should also be called out in public if you are doing stupid things. I guess that's kind of it. Those are the tools that we have because wala na tayong regulation question. There's no regulation for content creators, right? They are like advertising without rules. So who polices that? Wala. Tayo, right? Self-policing. The community does it. So someone has to be willing to call it out.
Good point.
I agree. Go ahead. That was a really good answer. I think the only thing that I added, and there was this conversation a long time ago, my only addition to this was actually more of a question also is that how do we also protect the influencers or content creators? Kasi syempre, the assumption is like if they're sharing fake news or misinformation or fraud or something, the assumption is they know that they're sharing that, but what if not, they don't know, or they don't know better. Because it's so easy now, all you need is an internet and mobile phone. Anyone can become an influencer or content creator, right? And if you have an Instagram account, for me, you're already a content creator if you're posting in your account, right? Like, you're not an influencer, you're not like a celebrity, you don't have millions of followers, but if you're posting your content, creating content, then there's already a potential that someone else might see it, etc. So what if you found a project that you're super interested in, and you're like, think this is a really great idea, maybe you guys should check it out. And then your friends, your family members who's following you started thinking like, oh, si Toby yan, matalinong bata yan. So I'll follow what she's saying and I'll just buy it, tapos tayo ang nalugi and everything. Like, I think it goes both ways in terms of we always remind everyone to do your own research and you have a responsibility as an audience. But I think for creators, because, and this is coming from, during the pandemic, I met a lot of these first-time creators. And a lot of them, hindi talaga sila ready for it. Because there's no school for creators, right? There's no rules on what you can and cannot do, how much the rates are, ganyan. So a lot of them are discovering it for the first time. Tapos kunyari may mag-offer sa'yo, 50,000 pesos to post something. And if you need it, di ba, parang mauna yun sa kanila before thinking about the community or whatever, totoo ba or hindi. But there are people, obviously, na makikita mo na educated, that has access to resources, and yet are really doing it on purpose. I agree with them. I'm pro cancel culture. Like calling them out is really important. I kept saying this self-regulation, self-policing, the community calling it out is very, very important. And this is also not new. The concept of, if you've seen the Game of Thrones, yung shame, like the one that she was naked and all that. That was not a good scene, but that's the concept of that cancel culture is not some. Cancel culture is now what we call it on social media, but the whole concept of public shaming as a form of punishment and deterrence to bad actors and behavior is something that we've had even before. Yung susunugin yung witch sa harap ng lahat ng tao. It's kind of like that same concept. Essentially, that's what we're doing now with like these rock pullers or whatever. Basically burning them in front of everyone in social media. Parang ganun yung concept. But I think how to support content creators, I think some of them have shown interest to learn more. And I think whether I believe it or not is another thing. But at least what they're saying is that they're willing to learn and they're willing to change things. And that I think is something we can support. If we know better, if we can help, I think we should reach out and remind them, tell them, this is not a good thing and you should probably ask the experts. I think that's one way we can support them. Because we can't always assume that everyone is just doing it because they have bad intentions. Like, I medyo parang I want to believe in the good of people, but for me, if you feel like they already know that, they've been called out before, they've been told before, but they keep doing it, it's really worth calling their bullshit out in the public. I think that's the best way, not just to protect the people around them, but also maybe that person. Baka that person feels like invisible. When you start calling him out, mag-delete siya ng video. Ganun.
Yeah, mass report. there's a model for that. First thing, of course, you have to call them out about talagang ginagawa nila ng process na talaga yan without even doing their own research and providing information about cryptocurrencies they don't even know about. I think the first thing is to PM them. If they respond, then if they not, ask report. Ipa-block mo na sa
Okay, may follow-up question ako. Kasi some of our kababayans are still quite nahihiya to call them out. Paano kaya yun? I mean,
for friends.
o minsan nahihiya. If you know that the information is wrong, sometimes we just let it pass. Pero tama rin po kayo na i-report. Diba?
A lot of reactive activities. Lalo na sa social media. When a lot of people are very reactive when it comes to topics like crypto, like earnings, like networking. Mas malakas ang boses ko kasi sa microphone. And yeah. Kaya number one talaga, you call them out, sabi nga nyo if they don't really respond to what on the topics that they're talking about, then there's a time na maybe give them or show them the proper information, and share the proper information to them. Give them relevant links na where they can also read and research on their own. Kaya number one foundation na sa crypto industry is to do your own research. Ayan. So there, we can start with that step. Then, kung friend ko naman yan, huwag kang magalit.
Huwag ka masaktan.
Kasi gusto lang naman yung kabutihan para sa'yo.
Okay.
Just to help you out. But if you don't listen, then, well, that's another thing.
true friends help each other. Kaya. So we are now down for, I know it's getting late in the evening, so unfortunately we will be down to our last question. So, okay, sige. So, kindly tell your
My name is Michelle. Yes. I just read the latest release ng crypto series, 127. The topic was about the terrorists funded via crypto. Yes, basically the topic was about the war in Israel. Yes. It's just saying, I'll be a reader. Yes, so there's a headline mentioned that Hamas militants were sent millions in crypto in months before the Israel attack. So there were conclusions, a conclusion that crypto now was part of the terrorist financing toolkit. I read this from your so my question is, in relation to the ongoing issue of funding wars, how do these challenges impact the overall stability and adaptation of cryptocurrencies?
Actually, before that question, I already knew who I was gonna award the to. Now, napaisip tuloy ako. It's a really hard one. So, I want to make sure I understand the question. So, you're asking how do I think the fact that terrorists have been using crypto as a funding mechanism, how will that affect regulations?
Adaptation and
Adoption. Okay, adoption. Okay. Okay, adoption. So I don't think it's gonna have a really big effect on adoption. I think that what crypto donations to terrorists indicate is that crypto is such a good mechanism for sending money anywhere that literally anyone will use it, including terrorists. Unfortunately, if you think about it naman, every technology has both good users and bad users, good usage and bad usage. The internet itself, right? I mean, we could say that, everything that is good about education has been made better because of the internet. But then we also have things like not nice stuff, right? So child porn, things like this. No? So there are lots of bad things in the internet also. So I think that hopefully, I should also mention, when I was writing about that, I was mostly writing about it because it's interesting to see how different societies start to accept new technologies. And I remember how, our earlier session, I was saying that the Philippines needs, we haven't really found a great need for crypto yet. And that's the reason why adoption hasn't really caught up so fast. We saw a moment in 2021 when crypto adoption really spiked, and it was because of Axie Infinity. What was the need there? Well, people needed jobs, they needed alternative income, and that's why all of these Filipinos, 1.5 million Filipinos, all learned how to use cryptocurrency suddenly. Hamas terrorists also have needs that they are not able to meet using normal fiat and banking infrastructure. And I guess cryptocurrencies also helps there. I'm trying to come up with a positive way to end this. It's very, very odd. I guess it just kind of shows you that even with the best of intention, technology can be used. Technology itself is neither good or evil. It's really just the users that kind of decide how they want to use it. So if you're a Hamas terrorist, or actually, so if you read the rest of that article, I was also saying that there are other good people that need this type of crypto donations, whistleblowers, for example. So the gaming enemies of the government among whistleblower, they can't receive donations any other way because their bank accounts are shut off. The banks won't let them bank with them, right? So now you can use Bitcoin to donate to Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, mga ganun na types, no? So there's also a good version of it naman. And I guess I'll try to end there. It's not really an adoption. It doesn't affect adoption. but it is an indicator of the fact that everyone in the world will probably have a slightly different need and use case for crypto. And I guess we might as well focus on the good stuff. But thank you for the question. That was kind of amazing.
Okay, so anything else that
I think that's
good na? Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, sige. So but before we end, the end of this CryptoPH conversation is about terrorism. Diba? That's how we end the night, ano? Nakakatakot, Okay. Tama si Luis. Sige.
Yeah, okay. So I'll do my. So earlier I said that I was gonna give the. Sorry, I still have it here. So I still have the security key here in my pocket, and I'm supposed to give it to the most thought-provoking question. Don't forgive me if I don't do the terrorism one, as the just feels strange. So I'm gonna give this to the real-world assets question, because mostly I want people to remember that, if you've never heard of real-world assets or RWAs before, hopefully you'll remember it after this meetup. So here you go. Thank you for. Thank you. Congratulations.
Iyan mo lang,
I'll see phrases first.